precious Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come here today, God, and serve the citizens of this county. God, I just pray that every decision we make benefits every citizen that calls Nicholas County home and leaves this county better off than where we found it. God, we have our many challenges, just like any community might have, but I just pray that you give the three of us and everyone that we work with the wisdom, patience, understanding, and optimism for the future that we need to make the right decisions to move everything forward. In your holy and precious name, we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Righty.
Almost done, but
We
you're
do
not.
not have anyone for public comment. And so we'll call this, when you call the meeting to order, today is June 14th, 2023. We'll call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Nicholas County Commission to order. We need to May 3 and 17.
Yeah.
Are you recording?
Oh, no.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Recording in progress.
Fantastic.
We are now.
Once again, we have called this meeting to order. We need to strike which minutes from the,
I'm almost done with May 3rd. I got,
not the May 17th.
not the, Mary's working on May 17th.
Let's strike both of those. And if you want to, gentlemen, we'll begin with the exonerations for the assessor.
Upon review of the exonerations as presented by the Nicholas County Assessor, move to approve accordingly.
That motion's on the floor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry.
Upon review of the estate and fiduciary matters as presented by the Nicholas County Clerk, move to approve accordingly unless otherwise noted.
Okay, that motion's on the floor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry.
Upon submission of budget revisions received from the elected officials and department heads, the commission will take appropriate action as deemed necessary.
That motion is on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion does carry.
Upon review of invoices submitted by various departmental offices, the commission will take the appropriate action as deemed necessary.
That motion's on the floor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry.
How do I handle that?
This is a big
You want to ask for a motion?
Yeah, I'll ask for a motion for the authorization of myself as president to execute the grant contract, which in supporting documentation, which is between the Nicholas County Commission and the
DRC.
right, division of, well, with the Division of Administrative Services, Justice and Community Services section for the DRC program, getting a grant award of $103,982.
Is that for any certain thing? Or
I
is
think
it-
that's just their annual grant,
Annual
isn't it?
grant,
Yes.
yes.
So that's their usual.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, that motion's on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. Terms of office expiring, we do have one position on the Board of Health. This is Miss Christina Chapman, term of office expiring June 30th, 2023 for a 5-year term. And so we will be placing someone for a 5-year term expiring June 30th of 2028. Do we have any nominations?
Does she want to do it?
To my understanding, she is willing to continue her service.
I'll make a motion, we'll just continue.
Okay. So that motion is on the floor to retain Christina Chapman for another 5-year term on the Nicholas County Board of Health, term of office expiring June 30th, 2028. Any further discussion or nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. For the Craigsville Public Library, we do have a term of office expiring June 30th, 2023 for Aggie Johnson, of a 5-year term. Again, the same date would be June 30th, 2028. And to my understanding, she does a very good job and does want to retain her position on the board. And so I want to actually recommend that position if I can. If I can't make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other nominations? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion does carry. For the Central West Virginia Regional Airport Authority, also known as Yeager, we have Mr. Rodney LaRose for a term of office expiring June 30th, 2023. This is a 3-year term of office, so this would be a expiration of June 30th, 2026. To my understanding, Mr. LaRose would like to retain his seat on the board. Or are there any other nominations?
I think with the relationship and stuff that he has built with Yeager, the amount of time he's put into it, I recommend he get back another term.
Okay, are you making that motion?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So that motion is on the floor. Is there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion does carry. Concerning the Nicholas County Farmland Protection Program, we have Larry Reynolds and Randy Tucker, both of a 4-year term that is expiring June 30th of this year. It'll be a term of office expiring June 30th of 2027. I would note, while I'm not a voting member, I'm on that board, and Commissioner Atkins' place previously. Mr. Tucker is the president of the board, and Mr. Reynolds is the secretary of the board. And so, to my understanding, both willing to serve. But, you know, they're both very active parts of that board too, I'll have to admit, so I do want that to be stated for the record.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we retain both.
Okay. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Larry Reynolds and Randy Tucker to a 4-year term, a second 4-year term on the Nicholas County Farmland Protection Program, term of office expiring June 30th of 2027. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. We do not have Director McGinnis with us yet, so we'll take a quick recess. Okay, we're here now with the Nicholas County Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management Director, John McGinnis. This is regarding the retirement board for dispatchers, and we have a resolution before us here this morning to consider.
Yes, this was made a proposal several months ago, and all the counties are participating right now. There's only 4 left, including us. And what this does is it qualifies our dispatchers to be classified as emergency medical services responders or first responders into the retirement board for the state. And doesn't cost us anything. And I would just like to join with the other counties into this process.
Is there an employee match on that? Like, just set up just like anything else?
No, right now, there hasn't been any detail. This is just the first step of the process. Dean Meadows, who's the 911 Advisory Board President, is heading this up, and they're wanting to try to get all 55 counties on board and then go to the state with it.
Yeah, I'd just be curious if there's an increase in cost on their
Yeah.
behalf or anything.
As of right now, like I said, this is just the first step in getting everybody on board.
Gotcha.
Yes.
If you want to see the resolution, I've read through it.
And this just allows you to offer it.
Yes, sir.
Do they roll over what they have? I wonder.
Yes.
Good. It seemed like just.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a better plan? Is it a better?
Yes.
Do you get it, or do you have to stay?
No, he's a county employee, he's on that.
Yeah, no,
He's
yes.
an employee. I find no issue with this resolution. Anyone would like to make a motion one way or the other?
Motion motion to accept and approve.
Okay, that motion's on the floor. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion does carry. John, this does not call for my or the commission's signature. So if you don't mind, I'm going to have you and Clerk Painter handle this while we're in our next appointment so we can get that taken care of.
Yes, sir.
And bring it back to us, please. Right. That being said, we're on to our next appointment. We have with us this morning Mr. Corey Chambers. This is regarding the Cherry River Festival funding request and the Richwood Community Building floor funding request. So the floor is yours.
So I'll start out with the Cherry River Festival. You all were very gracious last year to give us a grant sponsorship, however that was worded, in order to support various, do I need to stand up?
No, you're good.
Okay. To support various aspects of the festival. We purchased picnic tables, trash cans, got to do some advertising with the Chronicle a month leading up, got to do some radio ads, as well as redo some of our electrical boxes there. So the grant that you all gave us last year was utilized in full, thankfully, and as I had mentioned in the last time I was here, I can't even remember, that's been a couple months ago, but we are in the process of fundraising for not necessarily aspects of this year's festival. There is a couple, we would like to purchase a couple more picnic tables, a couple more trash cans. We realized last year that we could use a few of each of those. But we're in the process now of looking at putting a permanent stage in and not bringing in tractor trailers, which is what we've done for years on end, ever since I can remember. So looking at putting a stage in of somewhere there on the grounds between the city, fire department, the parking lot, utilizing it in some way, and the festival board would have the largest majority of cost to do that. We've agreed as a board that that's, the main use, of course, would be for the Cherry River Festival, but then we would open it up to, the community and however else it could be utilized when appropriate. So that's what and quite frankly, we haven't found our first estimate, which was done about 6 months ago when I spoke with the gentleman who's going to do it. He said, depending on the size of the stage that you want, probably looking at, and we're going to get a lot of the work done in kind, thankfully. We're probably looking at about $10,000. So the festival committee is going to put forth, like I say, a good portion of that for the stage. But wanted to come to you guys this year and see if you would again consider supporting the Cherry River Festival with a grant this year.
Any questions or comments?
What did we do last year?
$5,000.
3 or 5, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
I can't remember from what. Is it 5? Yeah, he's right. It was 5,000.
So I guess I do have one. You made mention that this is not necessarily needed at this year. You're looking at the long-term future? Did I understand that correctly?
Correct. We'd like to be able to have it done next year.
Right.
So this year, of course, time frame is too close. We wouldn't feel comfortable spending that amount of money out of the account right now, just with everything else, the money we have to put out to actually put the festival on. So we will be having Burns is donating their tractor trailers, and we are doing that again this year, and putting up Rick Green always donates one of his, the kind of commercial
Canopy
grade
thing,
canopies that he uses in Cranberry. So yeah, and the biggest, we're starting the process early because I feel like even it's going to take me a while. I've gone to about every coffer I have in terms of raising money for different projects, so it's going to take me a while to do this. So I'm just starting early. And like I say, there would be a portion of this that we use this year to buy additional picnic tables. Basically the same thing last year, probably 2 to 3 more picnic tables, 2 to 3 more trash receptacles, and then we had a lot of success last year with the radio and paper advertising, so we'd like to do that again this year as well. And you all we listed, you all gave us permission to list you all as in our title sponsor last year. So if that is something that's you all are allowed to do again, we would of course do that again. Which is why I'm coming to you now, because we're getting ready to start the production of our brochures and stuff.
I'll make a motion that we give them $2,500 this year, which will help with the advertising and the picnic tables and trash cans.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions?
And anything that we wouldn't use of that $2,500, can we put towards the fundraising for the staging costs? Is that permissible?
Yes, that's, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, because I would say they give us a nonprofit rate for, luckily, the radio advertising, which is the biggest expense. So I would say, just roughly estimating right here in my head, I would say that we would probably use, between the picnic tables, trash cans, and those 2 things, probably $2,000 and $2,500 for that reason. So,
Have you guys talked with Tracy and the CVB about coming on board financial assistance for the advertising?
no.
They definitely have. That's
definitely
right,
something
100% in her court. You might be able to get that fully funded.
Okay.
That would free up a little bit more money.
Yeah, that'd be
Right,
awesome.
and the funding, we usually would put into something like that, funnels through them for that, yeah. So that is a good point.
And marketing is their, like, I think 40% of their budget has to be spent directly on marketing.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yes.
Good, okay.
And also,
Okay. Yeah, and I think we've been working with her on the fair board as well.
Mhm.
Yes.
Michelle has, good.
yes, so, I don't know, but like the local radio station that we've got here recently, you have to pay them to do a remote.
Yes,
You actually have to pay them?
it's $650 for 25 slots in 2 hours, or $850 for 2 hours and
Right,
50
might not
slots.
for this situation.
Right.
She may be.
And they might have a nonprofit
They
rate.
might do
That's what I
something
learned
too.
with the boss last year. It was like, I can't remember the exact numbers, but something like that. And then they basically cut it in half if you're a registered 501c3.
Yeah, that's what we're paying for Fall Festival, $850.
Yeah. Oh, you are paid, it is, okay. And what station is that?
Lake Country.
95 cents.
95.7.
Yeah, they come 2 hours live, and then you get, I think it's 50 radio spots, the 2 weeks preceding.
Bill Wise?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Well, anyways, I didn't mean to break too much of a sidetrack, but, yeah, that would be a good option too. That motion's, we voted on that motion?
We have.
We have not voted. So that motion is still on the floor. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry.
Okay, next is the Richwood Community Center gym floor project, which has, we spoke about again when I was here, same thing a couple months ago. We've still been progressing with it, and I actually had the individual from Cincinnati Flooring, Jason, come down and do a second site visit he had to come down and do a second one because there's going to have to be some, and I'd mentioned this last time, but we know it for sure now, some kind of major leveling done on the floor to make sure it will be sustainable. So I asked him to come down and do that. He did that, and then I asked him to provide me, and this was actually last month, so their quotes are technically for 30 days, good, but quite frankly, I didn't have the time or memory to ask him for an updated one before today. So this was done last month, like I say. But this is an all-in. When I came here the first time, I had an estimated cost that he gave me. This quote is all-in labor. He did all the measurements, door frames, everything that he would need in terms of ADA compliance, as well as labor. And the total cost was $140. Actually, let me pull up the email just so I'm saying. the exact total. It was $146,500. They would totally, he also put some things in here in terms of, they would totally encompass the space. We wouldn't be able to utilize any part of the space while they, of course, were doing construction. So in speaking with Mary Jane and the board, now is kind of the best time to move forward with that because we don't have, in the winter months, Biddy basketball, as well as the baseball team and some different groups utilize that facility, that gym, basically every day. So, of course, we're past our ramp feed, we're past everything, you know, the kind of what you would say big events that happen in there. We do have a couple things that are going on at the Cherry River Festival, but in terms of time frame throughout the whole year, just looking at it in reality, now is the time to move this forward and get it done. So we have, of the $146,500, myself as well as the board has, and I say it that way because technically I'm not on that board, I'm just a liaison to it, has raised $105,000 of the $146,500. Now we still do have 2 naming spots open on the floor that are $10,000 a piece that I am currently in conversation with 2 local businesses to do. So ideally, everything goes well, that bumps that total up to $125,000. And the conversations that I've had with them thus far, I feel positive about. So my request to you guys is actually, and this usually doesn't happen, so I'm smiling, is actually less than what I was asking when I had first come here. When I first came here, I was asking for the additional, basically completed funding of the, at that time was $140,000, and it was $40,000 at that time. So now we're looking at obtaining $25,000 additional dollars to complete this project and get them their deposit and get them down here and start the flooring project.
So what are you asking for today?
$25,000, and that's, again, that's with the 2 naming opportunities for the other 2 businesses on the floor that are at $10,000 apiece, and then just thinking ahead, we have 2 already done. So there, if you all would do a grant to us for this, the commission would again have an opportunity to have its seal or whatever put on the floor as well. And this, between Cincinnati, this is Cincinnati Flooring, Ohio Flooring was the other company. I asked them to come down and do a site visit and to get a solid quote like this, and just that I didn't have a good back and forth with them. They weren't really willing to come down as quickly as we needed them, and based upon their first estimated quote that they gave us, they were going to be higher than Jason with Cincinnati anyway. And Commissioner Chapman, I looked into, I brought forth to a couple of the board members and as well as the donor who funded the largest chunk of this thus far, who's kind of, you can say, leading the project from a community side of things. And they were in agreement that they wanted what's the term I'm looking for, like a continuous surface flooring and not the piece tiles. They feel like long term, even if it is at a larger cost, it's going to last longer for how that gym is going to be utilized, not just sports wise, but also community engagement wise with craft fairs and the ramp feed and the different things that go on down there. And this, like the first time we spoke, includes the cost of a cover for the floor to protect it when we do things like that.
What about your roof issue?
What is it?
Your roof issue.
So the roof is currently not leaking in any area. We will, estimated wise, need a new roof in 2 years. We did do a patch job this past year, a pretty significant one that I believe it was Alpha did for us, and we used donor dollars to pay for that pretty significant patch job. But as of now, the roof, is in good condition, isn't leaking anywhere.
Do you have a fundraising plan for that replacement in 2 years?
Yes, so Mary Jane has actually already started, as she is so good at doing, in writing grants. We've got 2 grants that have been submitted, and I think she's getting ready to submit a 3rd one. We're also going to submit to National Lowe's Corporate Foundation. Again, we were able to secure, well, I shouldn't say we, Mary Jane, she did all the work. Was able to secure the $65,000 grant 2 years ago from them for the renovation project, and we've been able to sustain a good communication with them throughout the kind of stewardship of the grant. So we would feel good about submitting to them again. Mary Jane has got quotes from 3 different companies to look at the replacement of the roof. Again, we're hoping to get another 2 years out of it, so that price could change. And I'm actually not going to say it here today because I don't have it in front of me and I don't want to get it wrong. But she went to 3 companies. I know one of the companies was like astronomical. I think you could tell they just didn't want to do the job, so they gave us a crazy number. And then the other 2 fell right around in the same ballpark, which was a 6-figure number over 100. I think it was anywhere from $120,000 to $150,000, depending on, again, prices at that time. And we do have, we thankfully have a couple very significant, what I would call major gift donors that annually support the community center. Ideally, when we wrap up all, everything we've done, there's been $400,000 go into that facility thus far in terms of complete renovations, from grants to private dollars, businesses. You guys, of course, supported the half of the new HVAC system, as well as some operating money on the second time we requested for utilities and yearly things. So ideally, once we have kind of put a tie on all the renovations that we want to do, that annual support from those donors will go to just the general upkeep and annual funding of the facility. So, and the city has still, they are upholding, they're in the agreement to, we're still on the city insurance, as well as they're taking care of water, sewage. They've been working pretty diligently down there on a water leak that's happening outside of the building that caused a few problems, and we're seeing the light at the end of that tunnel. So,
Very good.
Well, the only thing I can say is, appreciate you coming here, appreciate everything, but with what Bobby just handed us, we're $50,000 short in our carryover, and all the money we've been giving you guys from is pretty much exhausted. So, in my opinion right now, it's probably out of question.
okay.
Agreed. We're looking at about a potential $312,000 increase in our jail bill this year as well. That takes effect July 1st, July 1. So literally about $305,000 to $312,000 increase. So that puts us $400 something.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Thank you. We will.
Do you guys have any recommendations on other sources of kind of, I guess, county, state, federal funding that might be available to help us get to the finish line a little quicker?
Mine would be one of the grant writers, either Lindsay Brady, our grant writer, or
That
the
might
city.
be a good thing is maybe if Mary Jane and Lindsay had a conversation
Yes.
for that.
And who's the city
Yeah.
grant
With
writer?
the city girl, she's
Well, Annabeth, yeah.
What is her name?
Annabeth.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
Maybe some collaboration
But
between
both of
those
that,
3.
that's a couple. Robert said anybody that would like to
Yeah.
utilize her services.
Oh, okay, great.
Yep.
Great.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, guys.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Up next, to get almost caught up, we have the closure of the courthouse for the Juneteenth holiday on June 19, 2023, following the Governor Justice's proclamation. As every good governor likes to do, I always like to throw out rewards every now and then to state and county employees, and they can't put it all on the list at the beginning, so we waited until, I believe it was last week he issued his proclamation, or the week before. And so now our procedure has always been we follow the state, and so this is on the agenda here today, just stating that if should the commission wish to follow the state's example in closing on Juneteenth, which is next Monday, and I will stand in favor of doing so.
So it'll actually be the 19th and the
That's right. So the 20th is West Virginia Day as well.
Is that anything I'm sure the judges upstairs will be closed?
I'm sure the courts will.
So the course will have to be because the state's already closed, right? Yeah. So yes, that is a good point.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, that motion is on the floor. Is there any further discussion to be had? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. We have the bid openings for the lawn care services for the courthouse facilities. However, we did not receive any bids. So,
That narrows it down.
that's right. And with us having a meeting next week, and we're running a little bit behind, let's just table that till next week, and we'll figure out a plan on that next week. That being said, we are at a breaking point until 10 o'clock, so we will go in recess.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're here now with the estate of Trey Ruckman, file number 10557. And this is regarding a request for administrator to be removed. Brandy, if you would please begin here for us.
All right, on May the 5th, Ms. Cherry Murphy came in to be appointed as administratrix over the estate. On the application of fiduciary, she listed Ethan Ruckman and Courtney Coleman as heirs to the estate as children. Our office was notified on May the 12th that there was an additional child who had been left off of the application. We called Miss Murphy. She came in same day to sign a new application adding Katie Cole as an heir to the estate. On May the 22nd, we received a formal objection from Mr. Wendy Ruckman stating that he wishes Ms. Cherry Murphy to be removed as executor because one of the heirs was left out on purpose. Ms. Murphy is bonded for $10,000 on the estate.
You want to look at the file? Everyone that does intend to speak, would you mind please standing up, please? If you have intentions of speaking here this morning, please stand up. Okay, if you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you and each of you solemnly swear or affirm that in the matter now in hearing, your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. consider. And now, Lindy Ruckman.
Yes.
Is that you, sir? Okay. If you'd like to present before the commission this morning, your objection.
Try to be a fair player, honest, great policy. From the start of this loss of Troy, Katie was born 32 years ago, way before Sherry and Troy got together. She has been slapped in the face, denied. Blood test to prove that she was a voice. Article in the paper. And in this paper here given to everybody, the newspaper and all, nary mention of the number one child. Jealousy, hate that you don't know somebody is no excuse. Jealousy is worse than cancer. Her mother is holding a job for 20-some years, medical records with Morgantown, Camden Clinics. This gal here has worked 17 years, 15 to 17 years on the same job. Ever since she come out of high school, they work. They've asked for nothing. To come into an office and blatantly sign a piece of paper to only 2 kids shows dishonesty. There was no mistake. Come back and then we get to checking. Kid wasn't even recognized. I don't want nothing out of the state. I like to see some honesty. If Sherry needs help, and you all look this over and see it was started off, and we might have to appoint somebody else. Maybe you need to appoint somebody to watch her and make sure things are right, because that $10,000 won't even buy one of his small trucks, that bond. And then go to legal assistance. This is what happened, I found out. And I cannot mention a name. Went over to see if they could hire legal help to diswill this child from that clerk's filing. Why would you want to steal from a kid? She's got nothing else. She's an ex of many. She's in charge of a state over 2 kids. I think I'd want mine to be a non-biased opinion party and lay it out here and say, I don't want no part of it. I know I don't. Personally speaking, I gain nothing. I'm doing this out of love for somebody that's been slapped in the face all her life. But she's never given up. Legal counsel told him, no, we're not representing you. That child needs 1/3. I don't think she can get a legal 1/3 when they went in there and said, we will hide and steal. Done had some stuff stolen and never even prosecuted the fellow that stole the trailer. Trailer is worth, I don't know, probably 20-some thousand. You pull behind a pickup truck anymore? I don't know. These big, long dump trailers. Sitting down there for sale, no title. Never put no court assistance on that fella to restrain him, not a restraining order. Not even to make him pay out his nose just a little bit for going down and stealing something off of a dead man. Shame, shame, shame. I've always heard people stealing pennies off of dead people's eyes, but something's wrong. I'm at the mercy of you all. I like to see some fair play. I'm not bashing these kids, yes, they deserve it. Ain't none of them know what that boy went through. Diesel mechanic, transmission man, better living through chemistry got him, okay? Sad, 49 years old, didn't have to go there. What a waste of a life. His customers were my customers was his customer. I run a welding outfit, he run the mechanics. Sat down there, not too far from this courthouse, and watched me work an hour and a half. Then pulls out, and the next week, I guess he come back, but I was off that week. We need help. I'm asking for help. I'm not a bully. I'd just like to see some fair play and some honesty. Gotta get somebody that knows machinery, selling that great big mechanics truck, selling the other trucks, selling that property down there, tools. Somebody said, oh, he's got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tools. Well, let me tell you something. It doesn't have to be Snap-on or anything else. The trade is in the hands and the eyes and the brain. It doesn't take a Snap-on stocking to create the world. It was done by hand. That's all I got to say, fellas. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And for the record, this is Mr. Ruckman is Troy's father.
Do we have Ms. Murphy with us? Okay. If you'd like to present before the commission here this morning.
First of all, I want to say, I was married to Troy for 20 years, never met this man in my life. My children are 27 and 29, and up until the graveyard, my son never met him at all to this day. My daughter, he approached her, wanted to know about the estate, and everyone's asked who's going to help bury his own son. Had never had any concern. In fact, we want to talk about honesty in this courtroom today. When Troy and I first got married, we were buying a house in Fenwick. We get a phone call that Troy needs to turn himself in, all this other stuff, because Mr. Ruckman accused Troy of stealing things out of the home. We end up here at the sheriff's department. There was things that was taken from the home that was in the home when we were purchasing it that did not belong to him. We never got back. So, we want to talk about dishonesty. We also want to discuss that Mr. Lindy Ruckman here would sit by the road, we would get phone calls, and Troy would have to come home long ways around because we were told he was waiting by the road with a gun to shoot his own son. He has threatened his son, and I've heard it. I've never met him, but I've heard. He also has hit his own father, along with threatening his son. And as for a trailer, that is getting returned. Troy Ruckman does not own that trailer, and it's already being in the process of them coming to get it. And no, nobody's been prosecuted yet. Greg Oxer is the one on the case, and he is still investigating. He and I keep in touch. And as far as a big mechanics truck, I would love to know where this mechanics truck is stored because I've yet to ever see one. And I went and shut down his bank accounts. There's a trust fund in his estate over here at Community Trust. And I had them print everything off of what he has done with his checking accounts and stuff for proof, And at the end of this checking account, what was left and what, his stuff. So it is all printed off. I have copies of that. There's nothing in it for me either. I was asked to do it. We went to PK Milam and asked him to help us to make sure everything is done right because, yes, there was at one time when Troy and I first got together, he told me he was being accused of being the father of his child, but he swore it wasn't his because here's his story. He says, she was sick one day and missed school. I skipped school to go see her, caught her with my cousin. From that day, he swore it was never his. This is what I was told. This is not mine, and I'm not paying for something that's not mine. And it's to never be spoke of, ever, in my home. Therefore, I spent 20 years. I did not deny no child. I was told it was not his child. I was never given any proof that it was his child. I've never seen a birth certificate, I've never seen blood test, I've never seen nothing as proof that this was his. There's nothing I've done in dishonesty, because PK Milam is going to be taken care, and as for him saying that he denied us, PK is more than willing to help us to make sure everything is done correctly, and he was going to make sure and check to see if this child did belong to Troy, so she would be included. Nothing has been done. Nothing's been split. I did not write the obituary. But I know this man, for a fact, if I recall, I think it was May of 1992, maybe. It's been 31 years since he's had contact with his own son. And the only thing I remember Troy saying about him, I've heard a lot said, not nice, but he said, the only thing I want from that man is a copy of his death certificate when he's dead. Therefore, if he dies tomorrow, Troy Ruckman will have his wishes, and I will laminate a copy and put it on his grave. But PK Milam is in the process of seeing that everything's split. I've been documenting everything, stamping everything, getting everything ready for him. In fact, I contacted Joni Prendergast to see how much she charges to get the land and everything appraised. I'm doing everything, and PK is going to be in charge of making sure everything is done correct and everything is split. And the court, when I did the executor, about 6 days or so later, they called and said, yes, there is another child. I went in. As soon as they said it, corrected it, it's going to be split 3 ways, unless there's more shows up.
And that reflects your previous comments, correct? It was the same day
It's-
that contact this was correct.
We do have a birth certificate in Nicholas County showing that
And when
he's
that-
the father.
And when they told
We
me
told
that,
her that too.
yes, and I went directly and corrected it as soon as they told me. I did not wait. I didn't drag my feet. I went right then and there.
There was not a will, was there?
No, it wasn't.
But as far as this man, we don't even want to discuss this honesty, because I don't think he's ever known the meaning of that. And he wants
Well,
to talk.
unfortunately, this is not a court for that, but, I mean, I understand.
But as far as
everyone's
leaving
concern.
children out,
But, so, currently, and I want to check with legal counsel, all 3 children are equally listed as beneficiaries of this estate.
That's what Randy has asked me. Yes, I have a copy.
That's what I read here, I want to verify. And Ms. Murphy is bonded,
Yes, $10,000.
in good standing with the clerk.
Yes.
I mean, at this point, unless we have recommendation otherwise, I think we have to upheld the current list of fiduciaries and the current executor, as everything has been done in accordance to procedure thus far.
Today, yes.
Yeah. Now,
So
if
I'll-
there's any other issues going forward,
I would like to speak before we close it. Some things I would like to say.
is it concerning the,
Yes, the executor, or the state in general, the whole situation and accusations.
well, he's saying that this
It's not
really don't have nothing to do with the state. That's what PK and everything's going to be taken care of.
Okay.
right, I mean, to be truthful with you, once it gets into this person versus this person, really you go upstairs to circuit court.
Okay.
Really here, we're making sure procedure is followed, and correct me if I'm wrong, procedure is followed with, was there a will, was there not? Here's this form, you know, is everybody listed properly, is everybody getting a fair shake, is everything so forth?
Yes.
I mean, do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay.
You may want to hear from Ms. Cole, though. She's an adult. Probably has the right to speak for herself.
Yeah, she is an adult child. Not a
Okay.
minor.
If you'll please stand first.
Either one, I don't care who goes first.
She can go.
Oh, okay,
She's the first.
okay. I don't think you, did you stand up?
I didn't.
Okay, if you both don't mind, just stand so I can swear you both in, and then we'll figure that out. And if you'll raise your right hands, please. Do you and each of you solemnly swear or affirm that in the matter now in hearing, your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And who wants to go first?
I'll go first, I
She
guess,
can
I'm standing.
go first, and she can go ahead.
So the day after we buried my father, Teresa Cole had reached out to me and was asking me for items and valuables, and it really upset me because I was still grieving my father. I had just buried him, and
I was told, like my mom had told us growing up, my dad said that's not my child. I reached out to her in high school and said, because she had commented on a Facebook status and said, hey, I think we're sisters. I was like, that's cool, but I was always told no. So we kind of just never talked again, veered apart, and I've never got an answer for that until today in this courtroom when I found out there was a birth certificate. I didn't even know she was my real sister, which sucks definitely. But the fact that her mom wrote me and I have Facebook messages printed out of her saying, your dad is not on the birth certificate, that's where I got through off that there was even one. And then she gets notified a week later that dad is on the birth certificate. I wonder when he was he was added when the thing. If it's always been that way or if he was added recently. I don't know, but she told us he wasn't. So when my mom did that, we wasn't aware that my dad was on a birth certificate because her own mother wrote me via Facebook with printouts saying, your dad's not on it. So that right there threw me for a loop because I'm like, well, we don't know and we can't add somebody on something that we're not sure of. So when PK Milan was hired, he was aware that there was potentially a child and her name was given so that we can equally split it. Because if that's her dad too, she has every right to be included that because that's our father. Regardless of any circumstances or who has not been in whose life, I don't care about that. It's not going to bring our dad back. And the fact that Lindy accused that hurt too because I'm 29 years old and I didn't have a grandpa in my life that I was aware of. He had nothing to do with us until the day I buried my dad and he approaches me because I had wrote a Ben Ruckman and asked him to meet my grandfather. I wanted to meet him. And the first thing he asks me is, who's taking care of your dad's stuff? Who's taking the estate? He was more worried about my dad's estate than meeting his children and great-grandchildren. So this whole situation with him even taking us to court over this when I'm trying to grieve my father and my grandmother pays for everything and he didn't even offer a dime, says his potential in this. My grandmother paid every single penny to bury her son, and I had to watch her cry over that. And then I have to go to court 7 hours away because my biological grandfather is trying to still dip his fingers in somehow and do something to hurt my father and the family. Because that's all I've known him to do. My father had nothing ever to say and made us promise to never see that man. And I never understood why, but now I do. So I just wanted to say that, but until today, I didn't know that Katie was actually my biological sister because we've never been presented evidence. But PK is aware that she was potentially one.
Thank you. And Ms. Cole,
Do I need to stand?
if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, Courtney is lying. I have proof of conversations that she has agreed that she knew that we've known since high school, that we've talked just a few times, that she knows that she's my half sister and she agreed to it. I didn't know my dad died. No one never notified me or anything. I found out through my mom through a Facebook app. So she saw on Facebook and then she notified me. So none of them through the whole thing has ever told me about what happened. She's right, my mom did talk to her and messaged her. My mother wanted pictures for me because she felt bad because obviously your dad died. So, but she didn't ask for anything. She wanted pictures, that was it. Courtney got emotional with her, accusing her of things, just being a little dramatic. I have proof of that too. But the conversation, they just ended it, and then that was it. They just stopped talking.
With all due respect, the issue before you today is whether she should be removed. And my thought is if she had a position on that, she should tell it to the commission. This back and forth on this personal stuff is not an issue before you join.
See, he paid child support since I was born to 18, I think. So there's all of that. So they've known I was there. So I don't know why they wanted to leave me out. Just because I'm not her biological children. That's not fair. It's not my fault. I was the firstborn and he didn't want me. And then he got with her and had them and they stayed together. That's not my fault. That's just what happened.
Well, really, concerning this hearing here this morning, for as far as this commission can be involved, the problem has really already resolved itself, ensuring Ms. Cole's placement as on the list of fiduciaries. And so, truly, again, we're not necessarily a court of public opinion as the magistrates, as the circuit court are. It's just kind of the degree of separation that we are beholden to. And so it would have to be my recommendation at this time of no action and to allow Ms. Murphy to proceed as she currently is. Does that?
Keep in mind, she will have to complete a complete final settlement, accounting for everything that she does, to present it to you all, and she'll have to notify them, and they have the right to object to that if they believe it's incorrect. She's under bond. And at this point, I don't know that there's a basis to remove her. She did correct the error, and she will have to do the final settlement. That's a full accounting for everything that she does. And you all, of course, as you know, are the people that have to approve that.
Can I say something? For the correction, I actually reached out to make sure that the court knew because I was left out. So she only corrected it because I made it, and I brought it up that I wasn't on there, and I called in to make sure so that way they called her. So she wouldn't have done it if I wouldn't have called in and said that yes, I'm his child.
But it was done.
And
But
as
yes,
I
it was
has
done,
been
and then,
completed.
yeah, and she
Right,
came
but it
in,
has
and
been
yes,
completed.
she
Well,
came
as
in
I-
as soon as they called me.
As I said, I was told my whole marriage, it was not his. It was to never be talked about, and that's exactly how he kept it. I was not sure, but like I said, we went to PK because we were not sure. He was going to check into things, he was going to make sure everything, but before he could even do it, the executor's office contacted me and said there is a birth certificate. His name was listed. I went in and corrected it because right there told me that she was his. Because I was not aware in full, complete. You know, I had never had proof. He just never talked about it, and he always said it wasn't his. So I did correct it when I found out that he was on her birth certificate. And it is going to be through PK. Everything will be through him. And listed and values. I've done been taking care of all of that.
As administratrix, she'll also have to complete an appraisal, which I assume she's having someone help her with that. Once we receive that in our office, each heir listed will receive a copy of that, and they will have time to object to the appraisal also.
If the
once it's
appraisal,
presented.
yeah, and if the appraisal comes in higher, personal property more than $10,000, you'll have to increase your bond. So
Yes.
until that's filed, there's really nothing to object to. The president. She does not have the authority to sell real estate. That's outside of her abilities as the administrator of the estate.
Because of the will.
Correct. That requires circuit court approval.
I'm comfortable with
Do we have any discussion or motions?
Motion to allow everything to stay in place, retain as is, until the procedures have been followed correctly.
Satisfactory. If you'll state your.
Make a motion that we allow everybody to remain in place as the procedures were followed. And if there's any issues going forward, they can come back.
You're comfortable with
Okay, that motion's on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Anything from legal counsel? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. So I encourage you all to hopefully work together and resolve this, because these things are never easy. I can assure you, we see these more often than we like to, and just hope that there can be some communication to
Things possible.
resolve it.
That's those papers.
Proceed through.
Okay. Very good. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Is this back on here?
That's your folder.
Fully, yeah.
Now, is there anything I need to keep a copy of through this today?
It's all.
I just gave them what I sent you. This is
Oh,
what I
okay,
gave them
okay,
today.
I just
You
made
still
sure I
have
did.
it?
You can confirm that
You
with the
still
clerk's
have
office.
one of these? Okay.
Well, wait, yeah, I got that.
Okay.
You have the right to look at that file anytime.
Yeah, yeah, anytime you need to.
As does everybody.
Our motion will be captured in a meeting minutes, which makes it official today.
Right.
That you're still in place.
Thank you all. Concerning the discussion of the impound lot relocation, we did receive a letter from the State Department of Highways. This is a difficult issue because the state refuses to recognize the lease that the commission held with their property there on Broad Street near, what is that called?
Webster Broad Street.
It's Webster Road.
That, well, yeah, that would be Webster Road. But anyhow, the city of Summersville and the county had equal leases on that building and the impound lot. Well, the city, through some real estate acquisition, did relocate theirs, and the state essentially is in need of this building, the lot, and are requesting our removal. They have discussed this with the sheriff. The sheriff has discussed this with myself and the state. He sent the state to the commission here. The sheriff couldn't be with us this morning. He will be able to be at next week's meeting. But what I would just request that we consider is the area behind and or below the DRC. As you can see, it's only about a 40 by 80 lot that we actually have. There is some inside storage, and that might be an issue, but we'll just have to figure that out with the sheriff. And what we might need to do for some different things that still need to have the forensics taken care of on those pieces of evidence. But perhaps drive by down there. We can all kind of see the area, and I'm going to ask the sheriff to also make sure he drives through and see where we might be able to locate them.
Is there potential to partner up with the city of Summersville and use theirs?
I don't believe so. That's worth, I would appreciate if one of us could attempt that.
Reach out.
But
I didn't know how big it is.
Their new lot is smaller.
Is it?
A lot.
that's
I guess.
what I understood. I haven't seen it. So I retract my statement. That would be a good conversation for us to have, just in case.
But I do think it's, if we have the property, it'd be best if we have our own. That way we don't
Well, and
have
that's
to
true.
Shuffle, we're not paying for something perpetually, and we don't have this move your stuff.
Right. Right.
Thing.
Right.
Take your toys and go.
Like we were experiencing right now.
Right.
So, again, the impound lot relocation just needs to be placed on next week's agenda. And we can try to make something happen. However, in our discussions, the state will be notified, I'll notify them, that, you know, we're working towards it.
I like that our goal, though. I mean, like, so we can give them a date. I'm sure they would.
Right, right. They
Next week.
requested June 30th, and I told them that's probably not gonna happen. But we do need to,
Is it 3 vehicles in the RV? Did I see that correctly, or 2?
yeah, but it's usually a little bit more than that.
I mean, that's what's currently done there. We need to relocate right now.
Yes, that's correct.
Is there an actual lease on that property?
We had one, the city had one,
Yeah.
but they're saying that ours was contingent on the cities, and with them relocating, now we are to relocate.
Do you have a copy of it?
Somewhere. We'll work on that.
And I have had the DRC start clearing the lot out behind there. There's still a lot of stuff down there, but it's getting better, but
We'd have to put a fence up, or is there a fence there?
there's fence already there.
Awesome.
There is a fence already there. It's smaller than the one that we are using on the state, but like you said, for what we have right now, it would suffice. If anything, we might just add on or something like that.
Well, you know, what we had before was us and the city. And with the city not there, that one may be big enough.
Well, and truly, here's
And if
another
we keep things
discussion.
moving, and
Right, but here is another discussion. The state and federal agencies were also using that lot. So we're gonna have to make a decision if we're gonna allow them on our lot or not. So that's something to discuss next week probably, but something for you all to consider there. But anyhow, are there any commissioners' comments for this morning's meeting? I have none, believe it or not.
Just one real quick, because same thing we've been preaching for the past couple of rounds here. You know, we're our funds that we had to support community initiatives, growth, wants versus, or needs versus want, or wants versus needs. Let me get that correct. Have depleted, and you know, we're gonna be looking at needs and necessity, and folks come and ask for financial support with regards to projects and things that they have going on. So just keep pounding that until folks understand.
Very good. Anything else?
no, I'll put it on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
And we'll be posting the agenda for next week tonight. before we
So,
leave.
yeah. So if you have anything for
So if
next
you
week.
have anything for the agenda, next week's meeting, let us know before 4:30 this evening.
Due to the two holidays that we have. So that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn this regularly scheduled meeting of the Nicholas County Commission? Today is,
We want to just wait until you're done, do you want to go into executive session?
oh, do you need? Yes. Okay. I've lost my motion. Did I mess with mine? Okay. This is concerning your real estate?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4? The purpose of this executive session is Homeland Security's real estate matters. It's my request that only the three commissioners, Homeland Security Director, and legal counsel retain in the room. And it is 10:35 a.m. Do we have a motion? So moved. Motion's on the floor. Is there any discussion? Was it Phil Gary? Yes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 All those against, the motion does carry, and we are in executive session. Oh, here we go. All right, it is now 10:51 a.m. Do I hear a motion to exit executive session pursuant to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4? For the record, there were no decisions made during executive session, and we just need a motion to exit.
Motion.
Okay, and the motion is made by Commissioner Chapman.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. That being said, is there anything else before we adjourn this regular scheduled meeting of the Nicholas County Commission? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion's on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, we do stand adjourned.